Gentlemen. All right, welcome.
Thank you.
If you could each tell us who really influenced you as a youngster to follow sports?
I'll take it. Absolutely my father. Sports has been a family affair my entire life. There's nothing like going to a baseball game, sitting for 9 innings, hopefully you get some extras, and being able to bond with your father. I tell this story to people. Some people think my father is a sick man for this. I love this, but when I was 2 years old, he bought a set of the Mets 1990 card pack and had me memorize every player like flashcards. And a lot of people think he should put behind bars for that, but it's molded me into the sports fan, and we have a bond that is unrivaled by many father-son combinations.
Neeraj, you?
Yes, I'd love to say my family would be, but actually I was the first person in my family to be born in the U.S. So my parents really didn't know too much about sports, but my friends in elementary school did. Every day I walked into school, took the bus, 9 in the morning, we used to talk about what happened in the Mets game last night. How did the Giants do this past Sunday? So I had to keep up with my friends. And then my parents also kind of rewarded me by having a baby brother, by giving me a baby brother. So for the rest of our childhoods, myself and my baby brother, we would grow up and be excellent sports fans.
All right, we asked the question before about your favorite sports movie. What are your favorite sports books? Neeraj first.
My favorite sports book would have to be Jeff Pearlman's The Bad Guys Won about the Mets. I really could not put that book down. I mean, hearing about the 1986 Mets, how they trashed hotels and airlines and everything that happened in Houston and Boston, and just how a team that was so full of characters actually pulled it together and came through and won the World Series. It was really a page turner, a book I could not put down. Jeff Pearlman, The Bad Guys Won.
My favorite book would have to be a biography of Michael Jordan that I read when I was younger. Michael Jordan has always been a guy that I've hated and loved at the same time. His work ethic, everything that he was able to accomplish, learning about what he did to create the aura of MJ. I mean, he truly is one of a kind.
Who would be your least favorite athlete? The one athlete that you just, if you were at an arena, a stadium, you would just boo nonstop. Who would that be?
Well, in the present, I would say Alex Rodriguez for obvious reasons. The drug scandal, the poker games, the big contract, etc., yelling at the Toronto Blue Jays game at Rogers Center. In the past, I'd say Eric Lindros. I grew up as a Quebec Nordique fan. I'm a Colorado Avalanche fan. And the way he treated the fans in Quebec and everything that he did to force that trade, it helped our franchise. But just for a guy like that to come up as a rookie and just absolutely destroy the morale of the franchise, or at least he thought he would, Eric Lindros would have to be the one athlete I just could not stand throughout his entire career.
I would say LeBron, but that's too cliche. So I'm going to go with Paul Pierce, who I can't stand. I think he's a phony in every aspect of the word. The way he went down in that championship game a few years ago, needs to get carried off an NBA floor. The way he dumped Gatorade on his head coach after an NBA Finals. Paul, this is the NBA. You're on a hard court. He's trying to create something that he's not. Paul Pierce is a phony. The way this past year, he hits a buzzer beater against the Knicks and he runs around like he's Superman. You're Paul Pierce, not Michael Jordan. Calm down.
All right, let's hear the monologues. Neeraj, you're up first. There's 2 minutes on the clock. Let's hear from you.
When you think about the New York Giants in their last 3 seasons, you could use many adjectives to describe it. Disappointing, discouraging, or downright disgraceful. So what's the cause? Is it the coach? Is it the punter? Is it the defensive coordinator? Well, when you drive from New Jersey to New York and you see that billboard of Eli Manning in the Citizen Watch, you realize that the 800-pound gorilla in the Giants' locker room is Eli Manning's poor play. On and off the field, Eli Manning has become an overrated quarterback with the cloak of a Super Bowl run and the dagger of one of the richest contracts in NFL history. Let's look at on the field. Last year, he committed 30 turnovers, 6 more than any other quarterback. And the lasting images of the 2010 season would be the left-handed interception against the Titans, the embarrassing play against the Packers, the 100-yard return of an interception he threw to Brian McCann of the Cowboys. This is not the Eli Manning that Giants fans have come to expect. And on the field, he has a lot of room to improve. But it's off the field where Eli Manning also has to take a step up and actually lead the Giants. When asked recently about Plaxico Burress potentially returning to the Giants, Eli didn't say we'd welcome him back. He didn't say he'd take him under his wing. Eli said, I don't know. I don't know? This is what we expect out of a Giants leader? I don't know? I'll tell you what I do know. Your star receiver from the 2008 Super Bowl run is now a member of the New York Jets. And then let's talk about this contract, making him the richest quarterback when he signed it 3 years ago. Eli Manning's contract has not been restructured. He has not agreed to restructure his contract. Well, Tom Brady did, and it brought him Randy Moss. Peyton Manning did, and it kept together the Colts team that has made the playoffs every year. Even Mark Sanchez has agreed to do that if the Jets would want him to. And Brandon Jacobs did to allow Ahmad Bradshaw to come back. Eli Manning has not restructured his contract, and you wonder why OC's upset? On and off the field, Eli better be a better quarterback and a better leader. Otherwise, that Citizens watch is going to be the only new piece of jewelry he's going to have to wear for a while. Back after this.
Who would you rather see as your quarterback, Sanchez or Eli, and who's the better quarterback?
Eli Manning is better than Mark Sanchez, but both still leave a lot to be desired. Right now, you'd have to see Eli Manning. However, Sanchez is younger, and in my opinion, Mark Sanchez will have more room to grow and grow more than Eli has over the next few years.
All right, let's switch over to baseball. You're the general manager of the Mets, and you're looking at Jose Reyes. How do you expect that to play out?
If I'm the general manager of the Mets, I would resign Reyes to a long-term deal, and here's why. To play in Citi Field, you can't just reward a player for power. You have to build with pitching and defense and speed, and Jose Reyes provides that speed. As a shortstop, as a young shortstop, he can take the Mets into the future and provide them with a stability at a position where there really isn't a lot of depth around the league. I would resign Jose Reyes because he fits what Citi Field and the Mets will need for the next few years.
Should the Yankees have made any moves before the trading deadline?
Yes, the Yankees should have added a starting pitcher because right now their number 2 starting pitcher would be either Bartolo Colon or Freddie Garcia. And against a team like the Boston Red Sox or in the World Series against Philadelphia or San Francisco, the number 2, 3, and 4 starters, whether it's Garcia, whether it's Colon, or whether it's Burnett, wouldn't stand a chance against the depth of these other rotations. So you have to roll the dice with Sabathia, and more often than not, that won't work out.
Super Bowl prediction.
My Super Bowl prediction would be the Ravens against the Eagles. I think both teams have kept together their core. I think the Ravens made a great draft move in drafting Jimmy Smith, and the Eagles, with signing Nnamdi Asomugha and the Michael Vick resurgence, they both should get to the Super Bowl. Of course, they've disappointed in recent years, but they should be able to have a strong playoff run. And if I had to make a pick, I'd actually say the Baltimore Ravens, simply because a lot of the players have been there before in terms of postseason battle testing. And Michael Vick still hasn't proven that he'd be able to win on a big stage, although I think that the team around him is talented enough to get to the Super Bowl. I think Ray Lewis and the experience of the Baltimore Ravens should take out Michael Vick and the Eagles in Super Bowl 46.
All right, Neeraj, thank you very much. Justin, you're on the clock.
Justin Lichtenstaedter on the Fan, and we start tonight's show with the O.C. Umenyiora saga. And enough is enough already with O.C. Umenyiora. I get your whole hypocrisy campaign, and it's not fair that owners are allowed to void players' contracts when they feel they're being overpaid, but players can't do the same. But the fact of the matter is, O.C., you're not underpaid. You're overrated. O.C. Umenyiora wants to be paid like an elite defensive end in the National Football League. But in reality, all he is an injury-prone, inconsistent pass rusher. Look at the last 5 seasons. He's had 2 major injuries and only 2 seasons with more than 7 sacks. And in those 2 seasons, one in 2007, he had a 6-sack game. The rest of the season, he only had 7 sacks. And this past season, 11.5 sacks, but he went 10 games without a sack. And the reason I'm only mentioning his sack numbers is because if O.C. Umenyiora isn't getting to the quarterback, he's not helping the Giants' defense. He's inefficient in stopping the run. He has no versatility. He can't play inside the line. He can't drop back and play linebacker on a team that's starving for any help that they can get at the linebacker position. And I think this past week, Jerry Reese played it as well as he could have played. He said to O.C., you know what? Go. You think you're worth all this money? I'll give you a day or 2. See what everyone else thinks you're worth. And O.C. was in for a rude awakening because no one in the NFL thought that O.C. Umenyiora is as good as he thinks that he is. So yesterday at practice, Jerry Reese goes up to O.C. Umenyiora and says, you know what? You've had a rough day. You can leave practice. But O.C. decides to stay, pedaling on his bicycle, contemplating how miserable the next 2 years will be if he has to make a measly $8 million. Think about that, $4 million a year. If you can't sympathize with O.C. in that situation, then you have no heart.
So how do you think this will play out? Well, who's going to blink first? Will he decide to play under the current contract? Will he hold out? What will they give? Will they trade him for a second rounder? What do you expect to happen?
I think Jerry Reese has made it clear that he's not giving him a contract extension. If anything, they're going to trade him. But I think the way it's going to play out and the way OC has made it seem, he's going to come back and play. He's showing up to practice every day because he doesn't want to lose $30,000 a day. If he doesn't want to lose his daily $30,000 paycheck, he's going to play when it comes to that $4 million for this season.
Who's going to have the better record this year, the Giants or the Jets, and why?
It pains me to say this, but I do think the Jets will have the better season. If you look at both of them, the Giants have really made no major improvements to the team. If anything, they've had losses. And while I'm not overly impressed with the Jets offseason in terms of how much media coverage they're getting, they did get better. I love the Plaxico Burress signing. I think he's going to be a major help moving along Mark Sanchez, having a target that big. So I'm going to say the Jets.
All right, let's switch over to baseball. A.J. Burnett been a big story recently, certainly after last night's performance. How should the Yankees handle A.J. Burnett? Stay in the rotation, pull him out of the rotation? What should they do?
I think the Yankees are in a fortunate situation where it really hasn't mattered what A.J. Burnett has done. He hasn't been able to win a game in the last month, which is remarkable to be able to do that with the Yankees offense, but it really hasn't affected them. They're going to the playoffs. I keep A.J. Burnett in the rotation, see if he can figure it out. You're not losing anything by keeping him in there. If anything, you're getting to know whether he's worthy of a starting spot in the rotation in the playoffs.
Let's do a minute or so on the NBA lockout. How would you make the NBA work next year?
If I was the commissioner, first off, it's most important to realize in this situation that the owners are right. You're not going to put out a product if you're losing money. That's standard business 101. He needs to get together with the players and realize games will not be played if the current collective bargaining agreement is as is, okay? And in the end, the players are the one that have more to lose. Eventually, I believe games are going to be missed. But the major problem that the players have is they're the only party that's losing. They're the ones that are not going to be making the salary. There are 17 NBA teams that would be losing money if they went back to the NBA as currently constituted. It makes no sense for them to bring the NBA back. The players have to realize this, and they will realize that if they want to start making money and stop going over to Europe and China, that they need to get something done.
All right, Justin, thank you very much.
Thank you.